Okay, so this is my first online lecture. So, well, unfortunately, this is how I'm going to conduct the rest of the lectures. So this is going to be, I guess, it is not a one time. You can listen to this many times, so it is not like that you did it in the class. At least if you miss something, you can go back and look. So that's the good part in this. So there's always a positive side uh, when we do something uh, like this, right? So okay, so what we're going to do today? Well, we're going to look at enemy class. So I'm going to introduce that, and then first thing I will do is do a little bit code cleanup. I'll show you few things, a few tricks on the player class that we can do using the texture mapping, and then we will play around with parallax. If that exceed the time, I can do the player class, I mean the enemy class later as a lecture 2. So we'll see how far we can go with the first settings that we're going to do, and carry on from there, right? Okay, so well, about the exams, the midterms, I'm planning to give you midterm by Friday. What I'm going to do is send you uh, the exam. It will be a different exam for each person probably, and people who has done graphics under me have a little bit more. I believe you have much more experience than the others, so it will be a little bit on the scene side. The others might have making menus, kind of things like that. So anyway, so we'll see. It has to be fair for everybody, so it will be a standard exam for everyone, and you can use that code whatever you're going to do for your game as well. So that is the good part, right? I believe everybody is communicating through any of the media available to build up your games, right? That is good thing is you doing it in distance. That also give you advantage how you going to do the code submission and cooperate each other. The GitHub is a good way of doing that, right? And well, it's exciting to see how you're going to do that by keeping a distance, and how you come up with a good game, right? Okay, so I'm looking forward to see each team working together, cooperate, and then come up with the final project. Okay, right, saying that, so okay, let's get started. So I'll show you, since I'm not there to debug your code when you're having a problem with the path settings on cloud blocks and everything. So I'll do one time from the scratch, where you're going to download the lecture, the previous lecture, and from there how you're going to set it up, and we'll move from there. So you should follow each step as I do this, so you won't get any problems later on. Okay, right. So what we have on canvas is lecture 7, which is the timer and animation. So click on that. So you can download that. So it will take a while. Okay, it's asking where do you want it. It's coming straight into my folder. I will say okay, save it there. Right, good. So I can show it in folder. So it will show here in a minute, I guess. Oh, if it is not, I'll just open my folder. All right, there it is. I go here and let me find where's my folder is. Oh, there it is, right here. And this is the file. Well, you already have common there, so you don't need the common again. You need only the lesson part. So let's pull that here. If you already have a lesson 7, you can rename, feel free to rename or do something like that. Or you can carry on from what you have done left over. This is just for the people who has never uh, was in the class when you're doing this, right? Or you download it and try to set it up. So anyway, so I'm going to do the clean project using this, so you can follow the same steps. All right, so now I have lesson 7 here, and so leave it like that. I'm going to close this one, okay, and then I don't need the canvas anymore, so I'm minimizing that. Okay, so let's go to the code blocks. So this is where we start your code blocks, and let's go and create a new project. So going here, project, and to give you the glut project, so double click on that, and then you come to this window. Next, the path here is different for me, so I will find the right path for me. It is under desktop for me, and then this is where it is. So that's where I'm going to create this, and this is going to be lesson 8 maybe, right? Lesson 08, okay, and that's what I'm going to use. And then next on this, it will ask where do you want the common. My common path setting was a little bit off, so I will go. This is my previous project, so that's what it is. I'm doing some projects other than gaming stuff. Okay, so this is where I'm going, and this is the place that I have my files, the common. So choose the path properly and then click next, and if all the files are there, you're good to go. If you don't have the files, it will complain that you don't have OpenGL libraries in there, but fortunately for me, I have it, right? So now you have only one file, which is called main cpp. Well, the second thing to do is you go and create a class. So this will open up few things for you. It will create your source and include folders inside the project. So when you're creating a class, it will set up the paths for that, so it will be helpful for you. So the very next thing after you create a project you do is the creating a class. So in my case, I'm going to create something called underscore enemy, right? Let's call it ENMS, enemies, right? Just if you want to call it enemies, go ahead and do that. I'm just lazy to type whole thing, so I'll just write ENMS, right? So that's the class that I am going to create here, right? So let me make it a little bigger. Okay, good. So now I have that class created. Oops, it will ask, do you want to create it into the projects? Yes, it's asking here, and you say yes. So right now you may notice you have the source here created and include folder, right? Okay, so one more thing to do is you go back to your folder now. Now I have my lesson 8 here, right? In the lesson 8, this is the structure I have, okay? So now I had to get the files from my previous project, which is this guy, right? Okay, let's do a little cleanup here. I have unnecessary files that I saw last time. This timer CPP, you don't need that. So go ahead and delete that, right? You don't need that. And also underscore timer you need. I just delete timer.cpp, which is not there. And then there's another one which is with the 2 R's, the parallax. So you don't need that. Just delete that one too. That is extra class. I'm sorry about that. That was there when I was uploading the project files. But anyway, so these files, of course, I had to copy. So go ahead and highlight those. Right click, copy those. Go back to your the folder that you're working on, and then we'll put those in the source folder in there, right? So now you have all your files, Good. So then you go back again to your includes in your lesson 7, right? So includes right here. Again, clear out your edge, and you don't need that. Delete that, and then I have 2R in my parallax. You don't need that class either. So these are the things that you need, so it's clean enough. So copy that, go back and go to the lesson and go to the include, put those things here. Good. So now I have copied the files. What else I need? I need image folder, right? Yeah. If you use the previous images already there, so copy that, copy this guy, go back and go to your lesson, lesson 8, have images in there as well. Alright, I missed one thing. I missed the main, right? I missed the main.cpp. So let's go back, get this guy. This is the main.cpp. I'm going to use that one instead of what I have, right? So go to lesson 8, copy main.cpp right here. Right, last, do you want to replace it? Yes. So you're good. Now your setup is done here, but I did not set it everything on my code blocks, right? There are two things I had to do. One is adding the files. So you go right click, add files. So what are the source files I need? All the source files. Going to select all, click yes. So it will add everything to my debug and the release folders. And then also this one here, the H files, I'm going to add those as well. Good. So now everything I need is here, except I had to set up the soil path, right? So you go project here and the properties, okay, project properties, and then you go to the build options, right here, and then you go to linker settings. This is where I have to add my soil. So you go add, look for the soil for soil.lib. I guess it's under my game common, right? So you already have it in there in the lib. This is the guy I need. So I click OK, open that. Relative path to keep, yes. So you will have the relative path. Move this guy all the way up. Right, good. So I said that sometimes this one says instead of any other different name of objects, yeah, I have a .a for soil. Click that just in case and click OK. Right, so I set it up. So now let me run it and see whether everything is good to go, right? If it's not, if there's any errors, well, we had to fix that. So sounds like it's running okay up to now. So far so good. So let's see. I don't know whether my screen recorder going to interfere with it. Oh, well, anyway, so far it did not. Right, so yeah, so I have one little guy running here, and this is what we did in the lab. So far, right? So okay, so this is where we're going to start, and we're going to do some things on this lecture, and to the player, to the parallax, and how you're really going to shift the directions of this guy. Right now you can see now, okay, if the screen is running that way, he's running toward the left, right? So that even I press my right, well, if you don't have, you have to shift the image. If you have two images, that's good, but what if you have only one running image in your whole sprite sheet? How do you going to do it to the other direction? So that's one thing we're going to look at. And the other one is how am I going to apply multiple parallax if I want, right? Those are things I'm going to do here, because the code I gave you already uh, have to do a little bit twist in few things in order to do make multiple parallax. So we're going to fix that today. Okay, right. So okay, so before I start with the enemy class, let me handle that first. Okay, right. So how are we going to do this? Right. Okay, so let's go to first thing is we're going to take care. I'm going to take care of my uh, I'm going to change the structure of my images. So you can see when you change this, in just changing the images, you can get totally different game, like the one I have already you saw, right? But I don't want that. So I have downloaded some pictures. So I'll show you that first, right? This is the enemies that I'm going to use, of course. That is one thing. And I downloaded not that one. Well, this is already I have, right? Let me go and look my folder that I have some stuff in there. Let me see whether I already have it still. It was in here, I guess. Images. I have plenty of images there. What I like to have, what is this? So let's go ahead and copy that to my images. I already have it in my images, I guess. Let me see. Right, so the lesson 8 images. Okay, so I have these. I already have this one on my teapot. I don't need this, right? Yeah, I don't need this. So let me just clear out my images. You can find images that you like if you want to work with it, right? So I'm going to delete all this, and I'm going to have the images I downloaded into my, so I don't need the player either. So I have better images that I want to work on, right? So let's get that. So I'm just giving you a few times that you can download any image that you like at this moment, right? Or later on. So I'm going to get some of mine. Where was it? Well, here, I guess. Yes, and the images on this, right? So one of the parallax flow I have, so I'm going to get that. Oh well, let me copy it instead of dragging and drop, so my other program won't work in that case, so I'll keep that here. So yeah, then the player, I just took it from the internet, and then there's the monsters and the sky. Yes, so those are things I'm going to use in this little project. So let me paste those here. Right, so if you want to see how does it look like what I have, let me open it with photos, so I can go back and forth. Right, give it a second to come up. Yeah, so this is background flow for my one parallax, and I'm going to use enemies, of course. They look like this, and then I found this sprite sheet pretty neat. So it has a lot of things here, right? But you can see it's on, everything is on one direction. Its direction is this way, the leftward direction. So how can I convert this to right directions as well, right? So that is one thing that I'm going to teach you today, how you're going to change the direction of these things, right? How you map it right. And then yeah, this is the upper part. So we're going to play around with this a little, and then we're going to apply enemies onto this. Okay, right. Okay, um, so put that on the side, and well, let's go and do this. Right, so let's go to the first thing is I'm going to change my parallax. So the parallax CPP, right? So I will have already one parallax here, okay, and so I'm going to have two parallax. So that's what I'm going to do. So uh, this, if I define something up here on my CPP as a parallax for this, it will give you a problem. I'll show you why, then we're going to fix that. Okay, and let's go to scene and add a new parallax. So we're going to use two parallax in this case, right? So that means I already have one here. Let's have a copy of that. So copy of that, and then let's call these parallax sky. The other one parallax flow. So notice that I just call one is parallax sky, and I had to change everything which is a PLX to PLX sky, right? Obviously. So where do I have this? It's better you just highlight that part and go down and change everything to sky here, right? How did I spell it? Sky, yes. So sky like that, right? And again highlight this, and then it will show you where it is. Here it is, right? Sky again, and then one more sky I have. I think I have one in the inputs, passing the inputs thing. Let me highlight again, and yep, there it is, right here. So I say sky again. So I think that's all I have. So if I have more, if I highlight this, it should show you more, right? Seems like that's good enough. Right, so I changed parallax to parallax sky. If you want to make sure everything is in order, you can run this just to make sure there are no bugs, okay? And right, I will do it in the window mode. Oops, there's a problem, which is the file name. I did not set it up. So what was the file name I have for this? If we go back, the file name is where's my project? Project I pass, just pass. 1 minute. Oh, there it is, right? And this is there, and then images. I call it sky. Simple sky. I think it's PNG. Let me make sure it is PNG. Some people, you can see the extension here. If it is not, you go to the properties, and then you see it is a PNG. Yes. So let's go back and initialize this one. We call sky here, right? Sky, right? You can see the player. I have PLY, PNG. So now it is showing you the crazy image in there. Well, compile. And run. Okay, so I have that. That's all right. Let's look all right, right? And well, there's a little edge problem you can notice right in the middle. You can see, right? Well, my cursor is not showing in the screen. So in that case, is it in a Windows mode? Yeah, right. Now I can see here, right here. So this one right here is the issue, right? But anyway, you can find better images out there, and just adjust that so you can fix these things, right? This is just for the demo, so that is not the perfect parallax picture that I have, so that's why you have that, right? But anyway, I did not apply the timer for the parallax. That is the one thing you should do. I showed you how to do it in animation, so I think you may figure it out by that, right? Right now you can see the bottom part is empty, so that's why the background is showing, and my player is now looking crazy, right? So okay, so we're gonna fix those things, right? So let's move on. Now I have the flow, so let's put the flow. How do I put the flow? So first thing is I have to initialize, of course. This is the problem I'm going to show you here, but anyway, so let's put that one right here, and let's call this, I think I call it parallax flow. So I have a to if I put, yeah, that is parallax flow, and my file name for that is called flow. Is that a PNG? Yes, it has to be. Make sure it is PNG, because otherwise you will see a white space on the top of it, so it's not good. So in that case, here I call it F flow, right? Okay, so now I have that, but the problem is when I'm going to draw this, so where did I draw it? Well, I have this one right here saying these things, so let me copy that, highlight and copy, and then put it back again right here, like that, and then yeah, so we'll look at how does it look like, right? Yeah, so when you having another one like that, and you have to rename this to flow, of course, right? This capital F and then flow, and then here again flow again, right? So those are the two things that I'm going to use here, right? So I set it up as flow, and right, so one thing I can do is set up a different speeds if you want, right? Maybe the foreground, which is the closer to you, is the flow, which is moving faster, right? And the background may be slower, so I can put it like this, something like that. So it will be, one is faster, one is slow. If it is auto, if you set it up for true, it will go automatically. Whatever you want to do, this will be having a different speeds now, right? So anyway, so this is how we draw it, and when you come to the right here, it's already set up for the sky to be fast, so we will change that one too, right? So copy this, and right, so one is sky flow, the other is sky, I mean, one is flow, one is sky, right? So that's what we're going to do. Flow is fast, sky is slow. So let's set it up like that. So it will be, one will move very slowly, the other one will move very fast, right? So that's what I'm going to do. And yes, so let's run this, see what is the bug here. If I set it up like this, when you're running it, you can see I don't see both images, right? Yeah, that's fine. So I can see the both images. So one is on the top. No, I don't see the both images. I see only one image, right? Even the background is, that's pretty cool in a way. So you have a static background over there, and the other one. So one thing you can make as many parallax. You can see now it's running differently, right? I can set the water on the bottom as another parallax. Use if you separate the images and do it, it will give you more realistic look if you have it like that. But anyway, so this is not our what we want. We have a problem now. What is the problem is we lost the sky, and then we have only the bottom part, right? So let's take care of it. Why? The reason for that is when you go to the parallax.cpp, you will see you created the texture outside of the class. This is a global for this class, but it is global for everything because it's not inside the class. It's not capsulate with this double dot thing, right? So that means even when you create an instance, this guy is actually global PTX. So it is this texture handler is common for everything. So the second time when you load an image, it will load into the same variable. So I don't want that. I want the instance of this. So what we can do about it is you should not have something globally like this. So you can cut this off, right? You can do this to the other stuff when you're using multiple objects, okay? This is why I'm showing you this. So you cut this and then put that in your parallax.h. So when you put it here, it will be a part of your instances. So in that case, the PTX or the texture handler will be only for this guy. So each person of this will have, each class of this, each instance of this will have a separate. So you can load separate images. So it's a simple twist that you had to do. Now let me compile again and see whether I get two images now, right? I just do what I did is just move it from CPP to here, right? Okay, so right, it's running again. So there you go. Now you have the background separate from the foreground. So you can see now my background is moving a little slow than the foreground, right? So it will have multiple parallax. So you can have multiple parallax like that. So I did not. The only problem here is let me put it in the window mode so you can see my mouse cursor, and then you can see this one right here, right? So these are just because of the images. So you can fix those if you have proper images. I'm just took this from internet just for the demo, so that's why it is not perfect, right? And this model you can move anywhere you want, and you can change the size of it, right? I'm just putting that as the debugger marker, whatever, right, just to see. So if you have 3D something, the 3D games, this will be pretty how the 3D stuff will work, right? Anyway, so this is my my parallax, right? So it is pretty cool. So you can do your parallax like that. If you're going top to bottom, of course you can change that, whatever you want to do. So now my player is not look good, right? So we're going to handle the player and the player class and see how we're going to do that part, right? Okay, so we're going to modify the player now. Okay, all right, so let's go back to that. Right, so what we did here is only have this one, take it out from the global and then put it on the local, the inside the class, right? So that's now part of the instances. That is a good way of coding. When you design your engine, make sure you do those things, play around with it a little, and then you can get rid of most of the bugs. One thing I like to do here is the little adjustments on my scene again. What I did, I want to make Oh, in a way it's all right. But if you want to move your screen more closer to you, what you can do is setting up this translation for your scene. I mean these things. Get a little bit closer, like 4, and set the scale to 3. That's something I did just to make it look good. So let me see whether that works good here. Alright. Yeah, you don't see much difference, but you can see now. Now you can see that it looks a little smaller, so it's give you a little bit much more nicer look with the depth in it, right? So anyway, you can play around with those things and set it up right. So now let's talk about the player, right? So the issue in the player, first let's take one image. So I have, so how does my player thing look like? It's look like this, right? So this is my player screen, what you see over there, right? Let me make it a little bigger so you can see better. It's not going to do that. Okay. Anyway, so this is a sprite sheet, right? In this sprite sheet, what I have is everything here is let me get the right color so I can show you better. Every image is facing this way. There's the one issue we had to fix. How do you shift it to the other? It's the one thing, right? And yeah, I had to pick up a stand-up guy. I'm going to pick, I think I'm going to pick this one right here. Okay, this is my default image, so if I don't do anything, this is what I want to show. Alright, so first fix that, right? I'm going to do this guy. This is what I want to show. So what are the coordinates here for the x max, I mean the y max and y min? That's the first thing I had to fix here, right? So whenever I want to show my player on the screen, I have to set up that part, right? Okay, so yeah, so this is something that I had to do, and then we're going to set up the rest of the things. Okay, so let's go to player.cpp. This is my player.cpp. Let me make it a little bigger. Right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my default one, which is the action 3 right here. So the action 3 right now is like this, right? It's getting my previous image, it is half to 1, so that's what I have here. That's why you can see a strip, because right now I have more than a few images, so I have a lot of images now, right? So one thing I have to do here is set up my image of this. So this is the half of this, right? This is the 0.5 line, right? So this is actually 0.5, and what is this value right here? So that's the question I have. So right now I'm dividing the whole thing. The length from here to here is 1, right? So length from here to here is 1, and so one of these are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the length here is 6, 1 over 6, right? So, and then here it is 2 over 6, and here is half. Obviously 3 over 6 is half, that's why I know it's half, right? And then here is 4 over 6. So what is 4 over 6 is equal to? I think it's 0.666, right? Yeah, yeah, the 36 remainder 4 to the 40, you get 6 again, so it will be 0.666. So it is equivalent to 0.666 and so on. So let's have just 666. That's enough, right? Because you have enough white space. It doesn't have to be precise since you have some white space in between, right? Okay, so 0.5 is a minimum and the larger size is 0.666. So that is where this image on the y height. And what about the x value? So how many x's I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the ninth one, which means if I divide the whole thing, this length right here to here, we consider 1, right? So that's the length from here to here, all the way. So this little 1 square of this is you can say 1/9, right? 1/9. Okay, and so up to here it is 8 frames passed, so it is be the x value here on this line is going to be 8/9, right? And then at here it will be 1 anyway, right? So that's what going to be. Okay, right? So the minimum x and the maximum x, maximum will be 1, the minimum x is going to be 8/9, right? So that is how we're going to set it up. So let's set that up and then see how does it look like, right? Okay, so one more thing I like to point out. Now here I set up my frames to 8. Let's leave it like that. And each action I can set up number of frames. For example, if I want to take the action for one of these, let's say I want to get only the images up to here, right? I don't want the rest of the images. So in that case, how many frames I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I update my frames for the action, I can get that. So default action, don't worry about it. So here we're going to say frames is going to be equal to 9, right? And my minimum value, so well, I have 9 frames now, and then x minimum is going to be 8 divided by frames, right? 8 divided by frames. Since the frames are float, you can see the frames are float, right? It shows here, right here. So let's have 0.0. Just sometimes it will be helpful. So this is my minimum size because 8 is the number of frames up to here. So 8/frames is which is 9, right? Right. So I have that for the minimum x. The maximum x is obviously 1. So the x max is 1.0. So that is that. So and then the minimum y is the same. The maximum y, I change it to 0.666. Right. So now all the standing default. So usually yeah, so that is good. So let's have that and see how that look like. Oh, right. So it did not come to the default because I have the initialization. Whenever key press, the action triggers, so that's where it is. So it's better if you're using, if you know what to use. In that case, it's better you initialize it in your .h with those values. So this is the default image I want to put it in there. What I'm talking about is, let's set these values right here to here, right? Copy that if you want. And go all the way to the initialization of the constructor of this and have those values right here. So and set your frames to 9 default. Right, so that means when I come to that screen at the beginning of the first time, you can have the same image that I was looking at. So let's run again and see whether that works for our little thing there. Right. Okay, so yeah, so now I have the same image, but the image is not in the right place. Even you can see, did you see, I think you noticed here in my screen there's a little line right here as well. This is the joint for the parallax flow. Well, you can fix those, or you can get original parallax. Whatever you do the artwork, you can have the good ones. So this is not for any well, this is just from the internet, so just for a demo purpose, I'm just showing you this. Okay, right. Anyway, so now he's in the water. I want to move him up here, right? So this is in the scene. From one scene to the other, you should place your player right. So either you can put it here as a default value or I can update these values in my scene. So in the scene to another scene, you obviously place your player differently, right? So after you load your images in the init player, here I can set it up if I want. So usually this is my Y position, right? Y position. Yeah, so this is what it is. I'm going to set my Y position on the player in my scene. So I go to scene and adjust that. So that is a good way of doing that as well. So where do I put this? Let's set it up for minus actually. Equals minus 0.4. And he's too small, I guess. I like to make him scale bigger. Well, you can set it up his size also. I think I drawing it if I don't draw it well, we'll see how we're going to do that part, right? I think you can set it up here as well, like changing his size by bringing him closer, like for example player, I can do the Z position, right? Z position, yeah, and I can set that right here and then make him a little bigger, right? So that is one thing I can do. If I want to set it up on the right side size for my suitable size for my scene, I can do that, right? So that will be big enough and do whatever. So let's put this guy in minus 3.0. So he's now, because I have my background screen for minus 4, so put this one front of my background, so I'm putting it here, right? So let's run this now and see where he's standing now. So see whether he's in the right position, whether he's look good, right? Okay, and right, yeah, he's all right, in the right place, I guess. Okay, but he's still standing, and the hand action is not look good, right? When I let go the keys, he's coming to the default position, but the otherwise he's look crazy right now. So we're going to fix that part. So you can play around with how we're going to place him, right? Okay. So one thing is my image, what I'm going to do is just the action of attacking, not running. But my parallax is moving. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, this is for the learning curve, so you can design your own game the way you want, right? Right, okay, so let's go back and fix the action for the player. So my action right now for the player, so you go to player.cpp, player.cpp right here, and I go to the actions. Only one action I have here, right? Okay. And oh, but don't forget to delete this minus thing. You don't need that. That was an experiment I have done before. uh, you already have it in your code, just delete that. Okay. All right. So this is the setup for my action, but this is not what I want. What I want is something look like this. Right. So let's get this action right here. Okay. So that's the action I'm going to get. So he's standing also, so it will matches what he has. Or I can have something like this as well. That's pretty cool, right? The one before that is pretty cool. So I get this one as an action. Right. So it is, what is the value here? Well, this value is 0.5 for sure, because that's the end. And the value here is well, that will be 2 over 6, right? 2 over 6 means, I think it's 3.333, because it's 18 and 2 remainder, so it is 0.333. So it is 0.33325. So I'm going to get this fancy thing here as well. So this is what I'm going to do as an action, right? So this action is going to be changed. Alright, so don't forget to have the frames update to each one, right? So that is a good way of doing that. So each action have its own frame number. Right. Oh, I already have the animation part in there, and I'm going to add a number of frames plus this. And yeah, so the only thing I have to change here is these two, which is a Y max and this thing. So the minimum is I think the maximum is 0.5 now, right? 0.5, and the minimum is 0.333, right? So let's see whether that fixes the problem. So let's go and see whether he's doing one action, right? One direction, one action. Okay, so yeah, there you go. Nice. So he's now attacking, right? When you let go the keys, he's standing. Now he's attacking, right? Good. So now I have that part already, right? And once you have that, what we're going to do now? Let's move. Let's say I'm moving right button. You have to do the same attack when I'm doing this to the other direction, but it's not going to happen like that right now. So what we're going to do to fix that, right? So let's go back. All right, so another action, that's the case 1. So let's have the case 1. All right, and then the break, of course. All right, here let's copy the same thing and see what happens. So copy that right here. So right, so this is my action case 1, right? So the case 1 action, what I'm going to do is how to change the direction of attacking, right? So that's what I'm going to do, but we have to activate this, right? Case 1, which is our the right key, right? And the left key and right key. So that's what we're going to do. When you press the right key, it has to do the action, right? Okay, so well, the keys are in my input.cpp. Let me go there and see whether what I have for my player. So let's go. This is the player, and well, left key action 0, And yeah, get rid of this frames right here. You don't need that. Don't update it here. You can update it over there like I showed you, so you don't need the frame action here. So now yeah, I already have the right key action 1, even I did not put it up there, right? So you have one action for this one, right? And when you let go, I think it is default right here. Yeah, the default is fine, it works fine for the action 3. So the action 1, if you never had it here for the key, you just apply that. But anyway, in my case I have it there, right? So now the problem is, even I press, now I just copy the same thing, right? So so if we copy the same thing, what happens? We check that first, okay, and then move on, right? Okay, so now I have this way, even I press the other side, it is the same direction, he's doing the same thing, right? Oh, that is not good. So well, I need him to attack the other direction, right? I don't have images for that, but how I'm going to fix this? Well, that's what we're going to look at next, right? So let's go back and then fix that, and then I think I spend close to 1 hour on this one. Only problem is, if I go, like I have done few lectures over 1 hour, and it takes 4 hours to upload to YouTube, because I'm publishing this so the YouTube for you to go and look at it, right? And the problem is, yeah, it takes so much time to upload, so I will cut short each lecture and then have more lectures, instead of going on and on from one. So I will break it to more lectures, okay? Right, anyway, all right, so let's go back to the scene, right? Not the scene, I'm sorry, the player.cpp. Now the one good thing I have is, my max is always this when I do the default, right? You see that, right? So that means whenever I let go the keys, eventually my max will be here, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do, to change the direction of this is, only thing I do is flip this max and min. So that's all I had to do, flip those two values. So what I mean is, right now, if I get one of these pictures, right, and this is x min, right, and this is x max for each one of those images, right? So if I can set these up like this guy comes here, this guy goes here. So if I can do that, let's flip the image. So if you flip the image, what's the good thing in here is, it will be other way around, right? So only thing I have to do is flip these two, right? And how can I do that? Well, I think I can do is, well, if it is a max is going this way, so it will be one frame up, if you add something, and then only thing I have to do is change these two values, right? For example, I can put this here 0. If you want, 0 divided by anything is always 0, but here I have to say 1 divided by frames. This is a very small change that I had to do here, right? Okay, so let's see what happens when you do that, right? So when you go and run, okay, right, so let's have the window mode anyway. So I'm going to move this one aside, a little smaller, somewhere here. So you can do the left right kick and it's move it, and then left mouse button to do whatever you want to do. Right, but anyway, that's not our priority here. He's looking at this player. Now he's doing right direction, left, right, left, right. So good. So now that's how you change the directions of your sprite sheet. Even you have only one directional images, right? That's the one way of doing this. So instead of you changing the y values, I just shift my x max and x min. So there you go. So now I have the two directions on this. All right, good. So yeah, so I conclude the lecture up to here. So you can see from the beginning what I had, and now it is totally different image. I mean the scene. So you can see now I have two parallax instead of one, and of course you can have the water is a different parallax. So in that case, you can have multiple parallax, and it will you can make it much more realistic, right? Yeah. So you can do that as well. So up to now, please study the code up to now, and then yeah, when I'm going to give you exam, make sure you know very well how to handle the code, and that helps to carry on with your final project. So that's the most important part here, right? Okay, so yes, right, I conclude the this lecture from here, because otherwise if I do the enemies, it will take another hour. That will be 2 hour lecture, and then I will take ages. It will take ages to upload, right? And then the well, all the things. So it's too much for one lesson. So I will break it to two, uh, and then we'll do the next one in the next lecture about the enemies and how you're going to put enemies up there. Okay. Right, so that's for the Wednesday, I believe. So okay, I'll see you in another lecture.